Everyone, how's it going? My name is Dewi and this is my brother.
Oh!
But today we're here to talk about the Friendly Neighbourhood Spider-Man episodes 3, 4 and 5. So this is your chance now to leave before we get into any spoilers.
3, 2, 1, monkeys. Okay, so...
Just a weird thing to say, okay.
Obviously this episode starts off right after the second one where...
Yes, Norman finds out Peter's identity, well, Spider-Man's identity as Peter.
Yeah, and obviously that's a whole thing.
Yeah, it's a very big thing considering, pretty much any Spider-Man film, show,
It's very interesting how they're going about with this, that Norman already knows that Peter's Spider-Man before he even knows who Peter is, really.
Yeah.
But he does say that, it was either now, no, it was later on in the episode, I think, that the whole Oscorp internship was basically to find out who was Spider-Man. So that's very interesting. And he does offer to actually help Spider-Man.
Yes, in fact, that's the whole point, because the thing is he, takes him out, to a restaurant and all that business. And, he wants to help him because, not just because of who he is, but he also helped his son, Harry.
Yeah, saved him from, those muggers.
Yeah, those muggers in the first episode. He tries to give him money, he offers to help him out, give him a new suit and all this business. Peter declines it, and he says because he wants to, keep him safe and everyone else safe. That's the whole point of the identity thing, is because if you're oblivious to who the person is as Spider-Man, it keeps you safe from anyone trying to go after you and your family, if vice versa.
Yeah, and then you had the people with the weapons in this episode.
Yes, so you had the tech, you had the robotic legs and the robotic arms, which look like the Spider-Man Miles Morales game. The Tinkerer's gadgets and stuff, because they're really fast. As you said, what was it? Quicksilver's one, and I said Psylocke's the other, because of the psionic blades that were coming out of the arms.
But they dump a load of money into a dumpster thing, and then it grows these robotic legs and just jumps away.
Yes, but the whole the three handprint that comes out of the trash can makes you think it's the whole legs of Dr. Octavius.
Yes, and then even the symbol that's on it of 2 O's.
Yes.
So then obviously they have a fight with Spider-Man, and it doesn't go so well at first, does it?
No, but then Norman does help out later on, because obviously this fight happens. Spider-Man, holding his own for a bit, but then obviously those two with speed and the psionic arms, are too much for him. And considering, he's sort of starting off Spider-Man, he's not really, prepared to especially this kind of threat, because apart from the venom that came through, but that gave him his powers, this is the first, I guess, threat of abnormal criminals he's had to fight.
Yeah, it's just outside its regular criminals.
Yeah, who just, rob banks and stuff like that. Yeah. So Norman sees the fight.
And he actually managed to hack into Spider-Man's suit.
Yeah.
And manages to give him, tips and advice that ends up helping him beat the criminals.
Which is listening out for, the charge up of the shoes, the speed boots.
Yeah. And then, obviously, that's when Peter re-accepts the Oscorp internship, because he obviously turned it down at first, but now he's re-accepted it and accepted Norman to, help him from all of, these people with, the gadgets and stuff that are going to be a lot harder to fight. And then, probably one of the biggest things was what happened to Lonnie Lincoln.
Yeah, his start of his term, which really was because of his brother.
Yeah, so his brother joined a gang, I think it was called, the 110th Street Gang.
Yeah.
And obviously then he goes to confront them, and he ends up talking to, their leader, Big Don.
Yeah, I can understand it, though, because, in the situation, I guess, you're in now, if I ever found out that you did, so you do anything to protect, your family. Not from Fast and Furious, because I know it's all about family with them. But in this case, it was his younger brother, and, he did step in to help him out. At the end of the day, all he cared about in that moment was protecting his brother. And he did, but obviously it's come at the cost of him joining the gang
because he makes a trade where he'll join the gang if they allow his brother to leave it. And so then obviously he joins the gang, and that sort of segues into the second episode, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
because that's like as Peter is progressing, because he does accept the help of Norman Osborn in the end, and how that progresses into him becoming a fully fledged Spider-Man. You've got Lenny Lincoln, who's now sort of on the path to becoming
Tombstone by joining like the gang and
So
stuff.
you can see these like literally them both spreading out into opposite directions and stuff.
And honestly, when you first see Big Don like the chair and he's in the silhouette, I thought that was Fisk.
Oh yeah, because he's
For a second, like Fisk before he like rises to power.
Yeah, you got the jacket though. I did say, didn't I, that jacket's the kind of one that he wears in the game.
Yeah,
Tombstone.
and
I'm
so
wondering if he does like take over one day and sort of like takes that jacket and then like sort of looks like, you know, another Tombstone. But I mean, it's a massive jacket, so I don't know what it would look like on him unless
maybe he grows when he becomes Tombstone.
Yeah, because how he gets those powers in this could be different. We don't know yet. So episode 4 now then. So hitting the big time.
Yes. And obviously this actually starts off with Peter trying out all the different suits.
Yes. So he makes classic, draws it down in his little book, and it's the original, you know, the blue and red.
But Norman ends up like throwing those aside and
does his own thing.
Yeah, so he gives Spider-Man like a Thor kind of suit, but obviously the cape.
The cape problem, yeah.
Yeah, just like in The Incredibles, that no heroes wear capes. So then, what's the other one? You had one that was like a beetle kind of thing, that had like a hover thing.
Yeah.
And then you had the black one that had like the claws.
Yeah, the wings one that starts scaring people.
Yeah, and I think there was another one, but I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, that's on about the finalized suit, but we'll get to that at the very because that's actually
not the finalized suit. No.
Yeah, you do have that. Obviously, there's more problems now with Lonnie Lincoln in this point because of what's developed in episode 3. You sort of see now this problem of him with priorities, him at school and him at this gang.
And then you have one of the big reveals where he obviously goes to a restaurant to pick up stuff for Big Don when, you know, like this woman with like blackish, greenish hair comes along with a scorpion tattoo and they try to mug him. And that's when you find out.
I mean, it doesn't take a genius to know. You knew at that point, Scorpion.
Well, yeah, gang. I mean, they even mention, Big Don even mentions them, like, in the background earlier on, the Scorpion gang are taking territory. But, obviously, you find out in this episode that there's a rival gang, the Scorpion gang, led by Mac Gargan, who's, like, a ruthless killer.
Which is weird, because, obviously, you know, he's obviously, you know, a criminal... Usually any other time, but he owns his own gang, which is interesting.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
It's cool though, a cool concept, and like the eyes that he's got, you know, this color, different coloured eyes. I can't remember, there's a certain name for that, but I like that concept, and obviously, you know, I mean that's technically episode 5, but like before, you know, we're talking about, you know, going to the restaurant, and now he's put himself in danger to prove himself to the gang. Because he wanted to carry on with his studies in the hideout. But obviously, you know, he gives him a task, go get lunch. Okay. And then it trespasses into the Scorpion territory, who then they see his face. They send like a runner after him to find out the hideout and all this business. And obviously he got back there and, you know, he's, I guess, a bit more edgy to the gang. Because as Big Don said, you know, they've seen your face. They know you're part of our... you know, part of our like gang now, which now puts him and his own family at risk.
Yes.
And like he's all working in his way that he's making the family a big thing because he knows now if he doesn't help him out, his family will be in danger. And he said, well, you're a good thing that you're with us because we protect our own. Yeah.
And they're like the only forces stopping the Scorpions and
from
stuff.
taking over.
And I do like how they mention this in passing, that Mac Gargan used to find people for a living because Mac Gargan was originally a private detective. Because obviously he was hired by J. Jonah Jameson to spy on a Spider-Man. So I like how they kind of reference that.
Kept that in there.
Yeah, and how that correlates with him being like this like big mob boss because he can find people.
This is a different multiverse, so I mean, I think some of the concepts will still be original to what I guess any other Spider-Man story would be, but then I guess at some point during the line, something's happened and it's traversed a different direction.
Yeah, because we know that this is like a spin-off thing of the MCU where it's like, what if Norman was involved in all this? But there's a Mac Gargan in the MCU, so it makes me wonder, and because they pay homage to it with like the scorpion tattoo on his neck, it makes me wonder if in the MCU he also had his own gang. I mean, when we'll ever see that Mac Gargan again?
Yeah.
I don't know, but obviously, you know, it's kind of, in this he has a gang, so he could maybe have his own gang in the MCU with all like the physical similarities, because he wasn't working for Vulture, he was getting weapons from Vulture in Homecoming.
Speaking of which, it's not so much Vulture, however, a development with a person that gave the tech to the bad guys of episode 3, there's another group, and one of them is Dimitri.
Right, yeah, because
in the van.
Yes, in episode 5, you see a group of criminals like in a van, and that's like the main concept for that episode. And one of them is Dimitri, Chameleon, who's Craven's brother.
Mm.
And then you also have another like bulkier guy who I suspect is probably going to be Rhino.
There's development there because it's revealed, you know, of Dr. Octavius. Was it the end of episode 4?
Was it the end of episode 4? I thought it was episode 5.
Oh, right. Was it the beginning of episode 5 then, was it?
I feel like
it must have been the beginning then, because I couldn't remember, because I thought it was the end, but maybe it is the beginning.
Yeah, it was.
Because at the end of episode 4, what they do realise, though, is that he's finally picked a suit for Peter, which is the black and white one.
Yes, and then that's actually when he swings into Norman's office, and then he sees Harry who's there, and so now Harry knows he's Spider-Man.
Yeah, guy at the desk.
As opposed to guy in the chair.
Guy in the chair, yeah.
So
dude at the desk, or something like that.
And so that correlates into the 5th episode, where you've got, obviously you have Nico Minoru, who's obviously Peter's friend, and they're going to go see a movie. Yeah,
there seems to be a bit of we've talked about this before, and I think it's classic with Spider-Man. He's got so much going on with his life. He never seems to be there for people. But obviously, when he did meet up at the cinema, he brought Harry, who she's expressed concern about before, considering he's like, you know, big social mediaist, all this. But basically, less of a person she wanted to hang out with. She thought it was just going to be her and Peter. He rolls up with Harry, and then it's like, okay, I thought this was just our time, but now you're bringing this person along who I have no idea what he's all about.
I mean, to be fair, because they do say, like, Harry does tell Peter that because he's homeschooled by Norman, he doesn't really have, and because he is the son of Norman Osborn, he doesn't really have any friends or any genuine friends who aren't just using him to, like, get famous
money
themselves.
And all that stuff, yeah. It's understandable, like, so with Peter, he felt like he had an actual general conversation with someone.
Yeah, and so then that's why Peter invites him over, because, like, friends, especially after the 5th episode where Harry's, like, talking to Peter.
Yeah, it's a different life for Peter in this. I mean, he's friends with Lonnie Lincoln, who's, I guess you could say, is the Flash Thompson in this.
Yeah.
He's big friends with Harry. I mean, that's the norm, but, you know, it's like he's getting friends with all the big-time players, you know, at this point.
Yeah.
So it's, like, very interesting.
I mean, even the teachers know that, because remember when he pulls up to this school when, like, Harry drives into the school, and then the teacher's there when Nico Minoru's saying, oh, everyone's talking about the fact that you're friends with Harry Osborn, even the teachers. And then the teacher's like, oh my god, it's him. I'm gonna wave, I'm waving.
That scene was so sad. It was
such a sad person.
I'm gonna wave. He waved back. Oh my god. God, what? Teacher, for God's sake.
So sad.
I know. I mean, it was funny. I remember you were laughing right next to me, and I just like, what? Anyways, yeah, so you know, him and Harry become, you know, actual friends now.
And then you have, obviously, the guys in the truck who get arrested, but one of them escape, and they go to the person selling the weapons, who's
one person.
Well, yeah, one person.
Yeah, I thought you said all of them went to. No, because
just
the rest of them got
person.
locked up. Yeah, we find out it's Dr. Octavius.
Who's selling these weapons.
Yes. And, you know, he mentions a quick thing about Stark and Banner, you know, they're
and Osborn, because he's selling the weapon to her, like the helmet that can shoot.
Yeah,
laser.
interesting name, because I mean, you're meant to believe at that point she's going to be, I guess, the rhino of this, especially given the point, and it's like, no, we're calling me the unicorn.
Yeah, so that's
Which actually,
weird.
funny enough, is the name of the episode is The Unicorn Unleashed.
Yeah. But no, so once he sold her the weapon, because obviously he says that he's going to use the money to get better accommodation, and he kind of breaks out in anger behind the scenes because he's tired of just making a name for himself in the shadows and basically just
What did he
selling
say
things.
when she left? I thought you had like an OCD thing to him about have this place sterilized now when she left,
Yeah, and he has like that breakdown where he's like, where he's like, I can't keep doing this, like selling these weapons to people who don't even understand or appreciate what I'm doing, and because he talks about Tony Stark, Bruce Banner, and then he says Osborn as if though they had a personal thing, as if he has a personal vendetta, which obviously makes us think that maybe he worked at Oscorp and then something.
Well, that's the thing. This is what they're not showing, I think, at least until later on, because Norman seems to know what's up because he sees the symbol when Peter's tracking down these people.
Yeah, the double O.
Yeah, the double O. At first, I'm not gonna lie, I thought it was Roxxon.
Yeah, but now also the O stands for
the
Otto Octavius.
Yeah, I don't know why. I can't remember the symbol of Roxxon, but I had that.
I feel like it's something similar to that, but I feel like it's more kind of like
the other theories
Bluetooth.
are, the other theories are maybe if they work together maybe once, and maybe Osborn's done some work with Roxxon now, maybe to get their hands on tech from them, but he does his own thing with them. Maybe that's a theory. That's a suggestion. I'm not saying it's true or not. That's just a speculation, But maybe that's how he's getting the tech, because he has to be getting it from somewhere. Apart from obviously the money he's now earning from the criminals.
But again, he says that he's going to use that to get like better accommodation and stuff. So
true. Yeah. So you had that side of things. She breaks the gang out.
Yes.
Spider-Man even saves one of the criminals.
Yeah, because she tries to blast one of the criminals because she knows that Spider-Man will jump in and
because she found his weakness, that the morals that he has to protect people.
So while people like Dimitri get away, obviously the guy who I think will probably become Rhino is arrested along with the unicorn after she I
swear I recognise his voice somewhere, and that's gonna bug me.
Yeah, actually, his voice did sound a bit like familiar.
It's gonna bug me. I may have to look that up actually after this. But no, I thought it was an interesting thing. Obviously, he protected Spider-Man, but he said, this is the one-time thing. You saved my life for now. Even if I see you again, I'll squash you, bug. It's like, no web that you have will hold me from squashing you. And I was like, okay, then this must be the setup for maybe Rhino, possibly.
Yeah. And then you had the side with Lincoln.
Again.
So he wants to go to the football.
Yeah, so we talked about this before, about his responsibilities in episode 4. I mean, it was only a thing of basically he couldn't pay for his own food there in the restaurant. He paid for everyone else but not his own and stuff. Because you had the apple, to keep up and everything. But now it's sort of more heavily based in this episode that he's not taking responsibility at school, because his coach pulled him to the side and said, you're not showing up to practice. You're the team leader. The team needs you to be here for them. And, he finally says, yes, I will be there for him. I said, okay, then. So, and as he's about to get onto the field, phone rings and it's Big Dom, and, he wants him together because they're about to start a gang
because
war.
They're about to fight Matt Gargan head on and stuff.
Yeah, so he said, you either come out here or we're going in. And it's like, well, the ultimate is you have to go, because if they start coming in, it's going to arouse even more problems than going there in the first place. So then he has to bail. So we don't see really the reaction there. That's got to be in the next step. You will have to see that in the next episode. You have to, or the one after.
But he does end up having a fight with the Scorpion gang.
Matt Gargan looked cool.
Yeah, Matt Gargan did look really cool, and he sounded really cool as well.
Yeah.
And obviously he's about to stab Big Don when Lincoln saves him and like tackles Gargan to the ground, but he ends
I
up
like
getting
that
stabbed.
transition because you had that fight, you had the fight that Peter had with the criminals at the prison.
Yeah.
Because you saw like a good versus evil and two evils, I guess, fighting each other in another fight.
A lesser evil and a
fighter, yeah.
greater evil.
And as you said, he saves Big Dom from that guy by doing his own tackle, like you're doing, one of his football practices, and he's got stabbed.
Yes, and I honestly thought that knife would have one of two things. It would either be like a poison knife, and that would be like the drug that Scorpion has in his tail that makes people hallucinate, or it would have some kind of like infection in it, so when he gets stabbed, slowly Lincoln's skin will start to turn to stone because that's stabbed. But no, it just seems to be a regular knife.
He wanted to kill him out of Thor, make an example of him by making him slowly die over time with a poison effect. So, because it had the shape of like as if he maybe coated it with some kind of venom. They call the scorpions, you'd think naturally that maybe he would have done something with the blade.
Yeah, but no, it's just a regular old knife.
At least for now, unless something happens in the future.
Yeah, I do feel like, because we know that obviously he'll have to become Scorpion, so I feel like the way they're going to all tie this in is that Scorpion will eventually come into conflict with Spider-Man and stuff, and he will get his suit from Doc Ock. And then when obviously Scorpion is defeated, Doc Ock's like, okay, Spider-Man's got in the way of my inventions and my gadgets for the last time, and then he decides to go full Doc Ock for like a season 2 or something. But then obviously this episode ends with like they go back to the base and everyone's like praising Lincoln, and they give him the nickname Tombstone.
Yeah, because he's got to say, you got to stop calling me that, man. I said, I got a better one, Tombstone.
Yeah.
Tombstone, and he'd really like the name as if he's now starting to enjoy being a gang member.
Yeah. So it's really interesting to see like him going into this like downward spiral and stuff. For obviously at first he didn't want to be in the gang. Now he kind of has to be in the gang, and now he seems to maybe not so much enjoy being in the gang, but he doesn't seem to mind it anymore, at least not as much, for all the praise that he's getting. Kind of like feeling like a part of a family.
Whatever happens, I mean, I'm interested to find out what's going to happen with him when he goes back to school and stuff, because obviously this ain't going to slide with the coach or the teachers for that matter, because if he can't just be skipping out on practice, he must be skipping out on lessons. Actually, it was mentioned.
Yeah, they do mention that.
Because Peter, he actually covered for him, covered for him in the lesson, saying, you have to pretend, you've got this cold or virus or whatever, because, we've been covered for you saying you've been ill and stuff. So this is gonna, and the family are gonna find out at some point, and how the little brother's gonna think of him if he fully finds out. But then again, he wanted to,
because the brother already knows he's a part of the gang.
Yeah. So
but not just how far it's all gone. So
it could be bad. It could be very bad. But we don't know what will happen. I think it's still up in the air on who the main villains are.
Yeah, I feel like the main villain. I feel like this will all lead into a massive gang war between the 110th Street gang and the Scorpions, and I think Lincoln and Scorpion will be the villains, but I think at heart Lincoln as Tombstone will be like maybe redeemed, while Scorpion will be like the main villain, no redemption, no nothing. He just goes to prison in the end.
No. I think it's going to be interesting. I do like the way they're doing it. It's just open for so many possibilities.
Yeah.
It could go any direction. Can you think of anything else you want to talk about?
I don't think so.
I can't think of anything else. Well, chances are we have missed stuff. We always say this.
Definitely.
There's so much, especially because there was 3 episodes. There's a lot to cover. If you feel like we've missed anything, then please let us know in the comments section, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Ask us any questions, or tell us what you thought of these 3 episodes, and let us know what you think or want to see in the future episodes. So, do you want to do the outro?
Yeah, sure. So, with that being said, guys, I have been Owain on the Thomas Brothers channel, and this is my brother.
There we.
And we will catch you all in the next video. Ta-da!